What we're going to be doing in this video is covering Frostbite Falls Assignment 2, questions 1 through 3. It goes like this. You're convinced that Wallace should be able to do better than the first lender's offer. You talk to the president of the local chapter, who also heads Frostbite Savings and Loan, the community's most aggressive lender. He looks at the deal and says that he would be willing to provide permanent financing as long as debt coverage is at least 1.15 and the loan to value ratio is no greater than 75%. His interest rate would be 7% for 30 years. Now notice before we do anything else that we have introduced some new terms into this. The debt coverage ratio, which is what he said above, a debt coverage at least 1.15%, that's right here. The loan to value, 75%. And then we're changing the constant because he gave us a new interest rate of 7% for 30 years as opposed to the other loan. So we have a new constant. If you check the table, pages 89, 90, 91, you'll see that the new constant is going to be 0.0799. So question 1, assuming a capitalization rate of 0.075, what is the project's fair market value? Okay, so fair market value, as we learned from the lecture notes, is the net operating income, that's the NOI, divided by the capitalization rate. All right, so these are some numbers that we have readily available. The NOI is something that we calculated before. If you go up into these videos, the NOI was the effective gross rent minus the operating expenses, and we came up with $156,400. So we have our NOI ready to go. So we plug that in, and then the capitalization rate, that was the new term that was introduced to us in the question right here, capitalization rate of 0.075. So we have that there. We do the division, and we come up with a fair market value of $208,533. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. I think it should be 2 million. Maybe. Sorry, I believe that's a typo in there. I should have. I apologize with my comments. I sort of did an extra one. It should be $2,085,333. That's my bet on the typo. I'll go ahead and just fix that real quick. Okay, so that's our fair market value. And so that answers question 1, what is the fair market value? $2,085,333. Going down to question 2, how much would the lender be willing to loan? Looking at this, the lender would be willing to loan the lesser of either the loan to value test or the debt coverage ratio test. Thus, we need to determine both. It's a common mistake, apparently. Sometimes people will just do one or the other, but we need to do both, and then the lender is going to do whichever one is the lesser of these two. So under the loan to value test, we take the amount of the loan is equal to the fair market value times the loan to value. Now notice a lot of these questions build off each other, so it's very important you go in sequential order, get the first one right. Make sure you have it right because it's going to be a number that's likely going to be plugged later on. And again, I have the same typo as before. So here we're going to take the fair market value that we had before, the $2,085,333. We're going to times that by 75%. We're getting that 75% from this loan to value number right here, which we got in the problem set. The loan to value ratio is no greater than 75%, as you'll see right here. So we take our fair market value, times it by the loan to value, and we come up with a $1.564 million as the amount of the loan under the loan to value test. Under the second one, the debt to coverage ratio test, the DCR test, the amount of the loan is going to be the NOI divided by the debt coverage ratio. Again, numbers that we already have readily available. The NOI, as we said, came before the net operating income of $156,400. And the debt coverage ratio, if you're wondering where that's coming from, it's coming from the same place, the new terms, 1.15. Debt coverage ratio of at least 1.15 in the question. So Once we multiply them together, we're going to come up with 1,702,128. That's the amount of the loan under the debt coverage ratio. So the lender is going to compare the two and will be willing to loan the lesser. Thus, the lender will be willing to loan $1.564 million based off the loan to value amount. So that's good. We're moving on. Question 3. How much equity would the project require, and what would be the new cash on cash rate of return? Again, this is similar to assignment 1. We're now looking at equity and we're looking at cash on cash rate of return. So same thing, look at equity before you take the total project costs, TPC, total project costs, and you minus the loan amount. Again, if you're wondering where these project costs are coming from, you go back to the original instructions, and that is development cost right here, the $2.625 million total. So we have a 2.625 million. We're taking a loan amount, which we've just determined from the question before, of 1.564. That's our new loan amount, $1.564 million. Take our project costs minus that, and we come up with a new equity. This is the amount Wally's going to have to come up with. We have 1,061,000. So that's 1,061,000. That is our new equity amount. Cash on cash rate of return. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's just cash flow divided by cash equity, and we now have new cash equity. Hold on. A new loan amount means a new debt service, which means new cash flow. So we can't just plug in our cash equity and get the same cash on cash rate of return. We have to go back to debt service. Remember, debt service is the amount of loan times the constant. The amount of the loan is this new loan, the $1.564 million, not the old 1.3. So we're using this 1.564. We have our new constant. Again, see the table before we got this from our new rates in the question. It's interest rates right here, and that's where we're getting a new constant of 0.0799. Once we do that, we take our 1.564 times our new constant, and we come up with a new debt service of 124,964. So now we can do our cash flow. Then you take your NOI, your net operating income, and your updated debt service. So 156,400 minus the updated debt service of 124,964, and we come up with a new cash flow of $31,436. So it's a little bit higher this time. So now we can plug that in to our equation on our cash flow. Our cash flow is 31,436 divided by our 1,061,000, our new cash equity. We come up with a new cash on cash rate of return of 2.96%. So how much equity? 1,061,000, and the new cash on cash rate of return, 2.96%. So we've gone up, but still not anywhere close to be penciling this project in. I hope you found that helpful, and yeah, we'll be back next time.